So, after my last video on Battalion 1944, it seems a lot of people didn't realise that the footage I was using was extremely old. Like, that footage is what the developers released when the game was first announced, and that was over 10 months ago now. And it is the only footage that we currently have of the game. Now, lots of people are saying that the game looks very clunky and unfinished, and of course you'd be 100% right. Based on that footage, the game doesn't look very polished at all. But 10 months have passed since that footage was first released, and the game is now much further ahead in its development. And having spoken to the developers last week, they are now reporting that the game looks and feels a whole lot better. Of course, once we get some fresh, new gameplay that we can really see with our own eyes, I think it'll be much easier to believe that this game is looking a lot better. But on to what I actually wanted to talk about today, which is the descriptions for the maps that are coming with Battalion 1944. In this winter update that came out last week, the developers went over a lot of information, and the maps had a huge amount of detail, so we can really get an idea for what will be coming later on in 2017. Now, as I just mentioned in the intro, I don't have any images for these maps, but I will insert some real-life pictures that are relevant and linked to the locations that the developers are creating, so you can kind of get a feel for what these maps might look like. Now, most of these maps are multiplayer settings, with one of them being a training map, and that was a goal that was reached on the Kickstarter. So the first map then, this one is currently named Manor House, and most of the names of these maps, by the way, are working titles. They may not be the name of the map in the final game, but this one is inspired by the Braycourt Manor Assault, and that was a US operation in June 1944 that saw parachuters infiltrate German trench networks around the Manor House. Now in Battalion, the map will feature these trench networks, which allow the US forces to flank around the German howitzers that are stationed there and use the outlying buildings to set up sniping positions on the Manor House. Now, the map is set on the evening of the D-Day landings, and there are a few features on the map that allude to this time frame, but the developers are keeping that a secret for now. We can assume that the Manor House will be playable as well. Mentioned in the description for the map, it notes sniping positions within the building itself. Now, with Battalion featuring that fast-paced fluid movement system that I mentioned in the previous video that I did on the winter update, the trench networks are sure to be chaotic and claustrophobic. Imagine all those machine guns firing and grenades exploding. It does sound pretty awesome. According to the devs, Manor House is one of Battalion's near-finished maps at the moment, and it will be available to players in the alpha testing stage for people to have a go at. The second map, and I think people will be really excited about this one, is currently named D-Day. And again, that is a working title, but I'm sure from that working title, however, you can guess what this map is going to be all about. Now, this is the developers' attempt to create a truly competitive 5v5 D-Day map, and if you know anything about the D-Day landings, that's not something that's going to be easy to do. The landings were inherently one-sided, with the Germans set up in their machine gun posts, having the higher ground as well, and the Allied troops struggling to really make it beyond the waterline as they got completely mown down. Battalion's representation of this arena will take place as the beach is taken by the Allied troops, with the fight focusing more on the defensive positions of the Germans. Machine gun nests, bunkers, and concrete trenches will need to be navigated as players try to push their way through to destroy weapon caches within that bunker network and a nearby farmhouse as well. This again sounds like a map with plenty of contestable points and narrow flanking routes. Rather than allowing the map to start down by the water's edge, it removes that whole spawn-die situation for the Allied troops, and it sticks all of the gameplay up by the German defences, and hopefully that will create a much better gaming experience rather than just being mown down all the time. Moving on from those D-Day landing maps now, the third one in development is currently called City Station, and again, that is a working title. Now, this will be the main city map in the game, There could be more coming, you never know. And it will mix open areas with tight, narrow choke point passageways. So if you really do think back to Call of Duty 2, it is a proper throwback here. Most of the action will revolve around the central train station bridge, which is technically the mid lane of the map, and it will have shorter and longer routes that players can take to access the rest of the map. Now, according to the developers, this mix of open areas and tighter choke points will provide some of that fast-moving gameplay, where skilled players will be able to use the movement system to get the upper hand. The map is still in block-out phase right now, so it hasn't got any artwork on it at all, but the developers have chosen to create the map in a similar style to the French town of Montebourg. The artwork is expected to be started in January, and the map is hopefully gonna be out for the alpha or the beta stage. Hasn't been confirmed yet. It's a little way off from being completed. Map number 4 is currently named Watermill, and according to the devs will be a proper throwback to the days of COD 2. It's set in a French village in the Burgundy region, and the map will feature the classic 3-lane system, and that makes it almost ideal for competitive play. Not much more information is really given about this map at the moment, and that might be because it is the 4th map that they've got available for multiplayer, and the other 2 at the start were much further ahead, so perhaps this one was started a little bit later on, but I think it might include a similar art style to a very early map that was shown off when the game was first revealed. It was literally in the official reveal trailer for Battalion 1944. Now, I have no information on this, but the setting kind of looks like the name suggests. There could be a watermill there, you never know, but if it does look like that, it could be like a foresty, sort of heavy wooded area, and that could be really interesting for competitive play. The 5th map that's been confirmed is officially the training map for Battalion 1944, and at this stage we're told that this isn't a multiplayer map, but it was a goal that was reached during the Kickstarter, and it's set in the Pottery Air Base, and you might know that from one of the first episodes of Band of Brothers. The airbase is located in Devon in the UK, and it will feature a firing range for you to test out the weapons in the game, get used to the recoil a little bit, and you'll be able to learn some of the basics of the movement system there as well. Now, beyond these 5 maps confirmed for the game so far, 4 of them for the multiplayer and 1 of them for the offline practice, according to the devs, there are already several more maps in development, but at a very early stage, and they had this to say on the subject of their whole map design process. A lot of the maps that have already been finalised have already been through several iterations and are unrecognisable from their original state. For every map that we've made, we've thrown another 2 away, purely because we're striving for the best competitive play. We also have many more maps currently being designed and are currently going through this same iteration process, which is why we will announce more at a later date. So it does sound like there is plenty more coming for Battalion 1944 in the future. 5 confirmed maps here, with the possibility of many more coming. Now, I'm most interested in the Manor House map, from those descriptions combining frontline trench networks with northern French countryside. That sounds really interesting to me. And something I just want to note, and it kind of links into what I said at the start of the video about people not perceiving the gameplay to be 10 months old. Just to give you an idea, the development team working on these maps and Battalion in general, I spoke to the community manager Alex Priest earlier today. There are currently 12 in-house employees working on Battalion 1944. Just 12. If you imagine a normal development studio, a big AAA development studio like DICE working on Battlefield 1, on the lead up to release, there would have been 300 plus people working on that game. There are 12 people in-house working on Battalion 1944, and considering they're halfway through making 5 maps and all of the other things that are going to be in this game, I think that's a really staggering achievement. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think of these map descriptions down below in the comments section, and maybe tell me which of the ones you like the sound of the most. And if we get any more Battalion 1944 gameplay, it will be up here on my channel as soon as I can get it to you. I'm just as excited and just as eager to find out what this game looks like 10 months on. And if you could drop me a like as well, that would be greatly appreciated. But until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.